covering news that matters. Fox 23 News at 9 starts right now.
Thanks so much for joining us for Fox 23 News at 9. I'm Paris Rain. Morgan Martin has the night off. We've had a great week of nice weather, but a big shift is on the way, and you might have to bring out your coat and gloves. Let's check in with certified meteorologist Mike Grogan in the Burgraff Fox 23 Severe Weather Center. We had a pretty decent day, but you are tracking much cooler temperatures headed to green country.
Big changes are underway, Paris. We'll call it weather whiplash, with today's high being a balmy 77. Let's jump ahead to Monday morning. That temperature will be down to 25 degrees, well below average, the coldest air since February and our first hard freeze of the season. And we do have those north winds already blowing in as temperatures are falling now, 50s, eventually 40s and 30s as the night goes along. A look at that forecast overnight shows the temperatures falling from the 40s through the midnight hour to the upper 30s to begin the day, and that's not including the wind chill. So it's going to be a day where we're reaching for the heavy coats and jackets and all the winter gear. A little early, I'm going to be tracking that wind chill into your Sunday and Monday coming up. We're looking at a nice warming trend as well, a roller coaster ride with temperatures, and eventually that will give way to a chance of rain. I'll bring you that forecast coming up next.
New at 9, emergency crews responded to Highway 75 near 191st Street after a bus was found on fire in a ditch. Officials say the bus was not operating for any school district, and it was being towed for repairs when the fire started. Crews worked quickly to extinguish the flames, and officials say no one was injured or at risk of danger due to the fire, but the cause is unknown at this time. We will keep you updated both on air and online as we learn more. New tonight, a suspect is dead following an officer-involved shooting that led to a 3-hour standoff after he barricaded himself in his apartment with the hostage inside. Fox 23's Ian Nickel joins us now after being at that scene near Southwest Boulevard and West 21st Street. And Ian, did officers tell you how this all started?
Paris, this started as a domestic call made by the girlfriend of the suspect when officers tried to make contact with her at the front door of the apartment. The situation escalated.
What started as a domestic call turned into a 3-hour standoff with Tulsa police.
Person said that they were being held by their boyfriend at gunpoint. Officers got here. When they arrived, they tried to make contact with the people inside, occupants, and from the address that we got. After being there, trying to make contact, there were shots that were fired at officers. The officers then retreated to a safe position and then called out the special operations team.
Shots were fired. The suspect barricaded himself into the apartment while police waited for the special operations team to arrive. Negotiations began on trying to free the hostage.
We attempted to make contact with both the suspect and the victim. That went on back and forth for maybe about 2 hours.
After the suspect refused to come out of the apartment, he presented himself in front of a window, and that's when 2 shots were fired. The suspect was down and the hostage was freed.
We went in, the hostage was safe. We were able to get the hostage out safe without any injuries. She had a few superficial wounds from the subject, from the suspect from earlier, but she seemed to be okay. She seems like she's in good spirits, and she seems to be safe.
Robert Mann, one of the suspect's friends, told me he received a call from him and that they'd been friends for 30 years. He tried to help officers de-escalate the situation and told us more about his friend.
He's really, really rough around the edges, but he had a good heart.
The suspect's identity has not been revealed by the Tulsa Police Department. It will as soon as the investigation is over and when family members have been notified. Live in the studio covering News That Matters, I'm Ian Nickel, Fox 23 News.
Thanks so much, Ian. We will provide details as we learn more on air and in this story on fox23.com. In a developing story, the Fort Gibson Police Department is investigating a hit and run that happened near Highway 80 and West 828 Road Thursday night. They're asking you to contact the department if you were at the soccer fields that night and spoke with law enforcement. They're looking for a maroon or red colored pickup, possibly a Dodge, and the vehicle will have damage to the front or front passenger side of the vehicle. If you see anything matching this description, call the Fort Gibson Police Department at that number on your screen, 918-478-2610. Happening now, the Cherokee Nation Marshal Service is asking for help finding this missing teenager on your screen, Lorelei Burris, who was last seen Thursday on North Cedar Avenue in Tahlequah. She was wearing a black hoodie and black shorts. She is 5'4" with brown eyes and brown hair. If you see her or know where she could be, please call the Cherokee Nation Marshal Service at the number there on your screen, 918-207-3800. Earlier today, dozens gathered at the state capitol to support families affected by the ongoing government shutdown and disruptions to SNAP benefits. Community members, faith leaders, educators, and parents called on the state officials to provide temporary support to children so they don't go hungry. Organizers say other states have stepped in with emergency aid, but Oklahoma has not, leaving many families without relief as food insecurity rises. The rally was family-friendly and nonpartisan with the clear message: no Oklahoma child should go without food. And as the shutdown continues, students could experience processing delays on their FAFSA applications, also known as the free application for federal student aid. The FAFSA application window opened for many students October 1st, the same day the government shut down, which was followed by furloughs at the agency that oversees the applications. The good news is that money students get from FAFSA, Pell Grants, and student loans are funded through mandatory spending. That's already been congressionally approved. The main issue students could face is how long it will take for their application to be processed. College admission expert Dr. Patel says the best things families and students can do is submit early and save their documents. Friday, the city of Tulsa announced they've officially wrapped up their 5th excavation in search of victims of the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre. Take a look at your screen. In this portion of the Oaklawn Cemetery, excavators found 80 unmarked graves and exhumed the remains of 9 people they say could be victims of the race massacre. One of those 9 is a gunshot victim. The 9 exhumed remains are going through the process of skeletal analysis. Forensic teams will also be examining samples from the last 4 excavations.
Because we've gone from 0 recovered victims to 1 definite and several potentials. So, okay, we've made progress. We're not in all of the sites we want to visit yet, but we are making progress.
We do need to take a moment so we can kind of digest all of that information and take it into the collective so that we can put forward our findings and our recommendations for any potential next steps that we think may be warranted. But we would expect that in the coming weeks and months as we make some of those assessments.
They say it could be several weeks, if not next year, before they announce the possibility of another excavation, which would need City Council approval. Covering news that matters in Broken Arrow, hundreds of dads and caregivers gathered at Northeastern State University's Broken Arrow campus for the 2025 Oklahoma Fatherhood Summit. The day-long event celebrated the critical role fathers play and featured national speakers, including Dr. George James and Dads Who Lead founder Thomas Fanner. Attendees took part in workshops on effective parenting, family strengthening, youth success, and they also had a resource fair connecting families to local support resources.
When you're dealing with parentals and children, most of the efforts are always put towards mothers, and then it makes the scale tip to one side. So being able to have one of these summits, what that does is it lets fathers know, hey, we see you, we know that you're valuable, we know what you bring, and we want to do something special just for you.
Organizers say this year's theme, Be You, Be Different, Be Dad, shows that every father's voice and presence matters. In our continuing coverage, a Tulsa organization is working to make sure Black mothers-to-be have the resources they need. This is the first ever Queens Village Week put on by Oklahoma Birth Equity Initiative, bringing resources to Black mothers in Green Country. They kicked off their first Relax, Reset, Repower event today. Tomorrow, they will host a baby shower at the 36th Street North Event Center from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Queens Village says in the state of Oklahoma, Black mothers have a higher chance of maternal health issues, and they hope these events will give women the tools they need to prioritize wellness.
We believe that by creating safe spaces where Black women can just be themselves and step away from the stressors of the world, that we reduce those different deficiencies that we see within our system.
If you'd like to register for any of their events and learn more about the organization, we have a link in this story on FOX23.com. November is Native American Heritage Month, and tonight we're celebrating a Choctaw bull riding legend. Fox 23's Paige Orr introduces us to an 8-time world champion who recently discovered his native roots.
Don Gay is rodeo royalty. 8 world championships in bull riding, a record that still stands today. He grew up wanting to be a cowboy.
I grew up in the world's largest dirt playground and wanting to be a cowboy, wanting to be a bronc rider and a bull rider. It just came natural to me.
Gay turned pro at just 16 at his father's Mesquite Championship rodeo in Texas. But it wasn't until 2 years ago he discovered where his natural talent came from. Don's daughter uncovered their Choctaw heritage through genealogy research.
Once I learned the heritage and begun to do a little digging, I found out that my mother had quite a few rodeo skills herself.
Gay's birth mother, Evelyn Cookie Foster, was a talented cowgirl who died when he was just a year and a half old. Her mother was a full-blood Choctaw. Gay's father, a Navy veteran, taught him the work ethic that would make him a champion.
My dad taught me that you can be self-sufficient as long as you don't ever give up trying. It doesn't matter, you know, basically what it boils down to is you're not shackled by your circumstances, you're shackled by your choices of whatever it is you choose to do. You haven't failed at anything until you quit.
That drive led to his first world championship in 1974 and his 8th in 1984. Gay traveled the rodeo circuit with legendary bull rider Lane Frost and retired in 1989. Now 72, he's still in the rodeo world, calling bull riding at the National Finals Rodeo in Las Vegas for nearly 30 years.
Bull riding is one of the things on this earth that does not change. It's man against beast, and once the gate opens, no one has control but you.
Gay says he's proud to preserve both his rodeo legacy and his Choctaw roots, especially during Native American Heritage Month. Covering news that matters, Paige Orr, Fox 23 News.
Gay qualified for the National Finals Rodeo 13 times and competed in an exhibition for former President Ronald Reagan. He's now a card-carrying member of the Choctaw Nation. Earlier today in downtown Tulsa, hundreds of people attended the Oklahoma Alliance for Animals annual Fur Ball at the Hite Regency. Fox 23 morning anchor Sunny Lee, there she is, emceed at the formal Holly Wolf-themed fundraiser that kicked off at 6 this evening. It features auctions, live art, and a special appearance from Fern, the dog rescued after being found in a dumpster in July. Organizers say the event is their biggest fundraiser, supporting rescue groups and animal cruelty investigations across the state.
From the Berggraf Fox 23 Severe Weather Center, certified meteorologist Mike Grogan.
Normally, we're not talking much about Arctic air until we get to the winter months, let's say December and beyond. But we have a strong cold front whose origins was in the Arctic. Now, the air is not going to be nearly as cold as we'd see in December, January, February, but this is a harsh blast of colder air for this time of year. It's bringing snow to portions of the upper Midwest. It's also bringing us some cloud cover, but no precipitation. These clouds, though, lent themselves to a beautiful sunset earlier. Perhaps you caught that. This was the view not far from Jinx above the Outlet Mall there. So a glorious but brief sunset to take in. Tonight, though, north winds are blowing in and it's getting quite chilly out there as temperatures continue to drop off. And this has been coming with some strong wind gusts on the order of 25 to 35 miles per hour out of the north. A similar range overnight, perhaps a few miles per hour lighter, but this will continue to be a brisk evening with increasingly cold conditions as we head into that Sunday morning. So let's track the wind chill moving into our Sunday. As we go to the start of the morning, we've got temperatures that will feel like the 20s. Now, it won't be below freezing, but that strong north wind will make it feel like this across northeast Oklahoma, the 30s for southeast Oklahoma. As we move forward into the middle of the day, it's going to still be windy and cold, even with sunshine breaking out more readily by afternoon. The warmest it may feel would be the mid to upper 30s across portions of eastern Oklahoma. And if you're in far eastern Oklahoma, it may feel like it's near freezing all day long as temperatures may be stuck close to the upper 30s in a few locations. and even colder by Sunday night, needing the heavy coats out there. The winds will lighten up, but so will the temperatures be dropping, and that will make that feel like temperature, when you factor that all in, feel like the upper teens as we head into the start of that Monday. That is where things bottom out. From there, we'll get a little warmer. But for your Sunday plans, maybe you're heading out to brunch or a church service, make sure you've got the change of wardrobe ready to go. Very different than our Saturday. 40s for the morning to midday hours with a cold north wind. There might even be a few sprinkles in the mix or a flurry or two near the Oklahoma-Arkansas line, but I think most of us are just going to have a mix of clouds and sun, and the temperatures will be the big story. We'll be well below our average in the mid-60s for Tulsa. They're going to be closer to 46 for that afternoon temperature. 45 Owasso, 44 in Claremore. Once again, these are average temperatures more for the end of December than for the earlier portion of November. Further south, we might be close to 50 in Eufaula and McAllister by afternoon, but it's going to be a struggle to get above the 40s anywhere in our viewing area. Up towards Tahlequah, only reaching 43 degrees. To the north, low 40s, even a few spots stuck in the upper 30s by afternoon, like in Grove, 40. Coffeyville over to Bartlesville, about 43. There is a freeze warning in effect Sunday night, Monday morning, because the coldest air since February is arriving. This is a hard freeze for most of us, and that means we are concerned about those vegetation sensitive plants might need to be brought indoors to be saved at all. And if you're taking care of other vegetation in the form of leaves, Sunday's just not your day. I'm giving it the red light here just because it'll be cold and extremely windy. Monday, the winds are lighter, but it's still chilly, and that's leading into another windy day on Tuesday. So your best bet for maximizing your raking abilities would be Wednesday, when it's mild and quiet. But that wind on Tuesday will bring about a sizable warming trend. We'll go from well below average highs Sunday and into Monday, reversing that trend by Tuesday, a little bit above average for your Veterans Day afternoon. Not bad for the parade this year as well. And then by the end of the week, temperatures are soaring back to levels like we had earlier this week and even the start of our weekend. So we have certainly a roller coaster ride at hand. 40s for highs down to that 25-degree low, then above freezing there to follow, though we might still see a few spots near freezing Monday night. As we move forward, 70s for highs return by Wednesday. To the weekend we go. We'll also have some rain chances returning, a storm system drawing in enough moisture to bring us a round or two of rain. Highs still in the 70s, and overall the 10-day forecast keeps those temperatures mild midweek and beyond, almost 80 by Friday. And into the following week, we'll keep a little bit of unsettled weather around, but so will the mild temperatures. They'll stay with us for quite some time, it appears. That's a look at the next 10 days. I'll be back with you in the morning with an update on the cold winds blowing in.
Today marks day 39 of the ongoing government shutdown, the longest in U.S. history. And some travelers are feeling the brunt of its effects. 40 major airlines canceled more than 1,000 flights across the nation on the second day of cuts in relation to a mandate from the Federal Aviation Administration. Madison Scarpino has more on the story from Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport in Atlanta.
Travelers are facing a second day of flight cuts across the U.S. as the government shutdown continues. The Federal Aviation Administration mandated airlines to cut down on 4% of their flights at 40 major airports across the country, and that number could rise to 10% starting November 14th if the government does not reopen by then. More than 1,000 flights were canceled on Friday, according to FlightAware, and airline travelers are seeing those same numbers again Saturday, even though it's typically a slower travel day.
Changing flight schedules, especially at the last minute, can be really disruptive to, everybody. Not everybody has the means to kind of navigate that, get a spontaneous hotel stay.
Roughly 13,000 air controllers have been working without pay for several weeks, and that's causing many to call out sick. It's adding strain to the workforce already dealing with these existing shortages, and the FAA says its order is necessary to relieve pressure for those controllers.
Even though this might be a headache if your flight gets canceled, it's for the purpose of safety. Nobody wants to be on a flight that's not safe.
The cancellations are being felt the most at airports in Chicago, Dallas, Denver, and right here in Atlanta at Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport.
I wish the government would just get back on track because everybody's suffering. It's like a domino effect.
If the flight disruptions continue, supply chain experts warn higher shipping costs could raise prices in stores. In Atlanta, Madison Scarpino, Fox News.
Also happening now with the school year in full swing, some states have begun to require nonpartisan gun safety lessons in schools. Neighboring states like Arkansas, Tennessee, and Utah are some of the first states to enact laws requiring public schools to teach children as young as 5 years old the basics of gun safety and how guns should be properly stored in the home. So far, Utah is the only state to allow students to opt out of the lesson if requested by parents or guardians. With the reality of knowing many children in the U.S. have seen or will see a firearm in their lifetime, the goal of the lesson is to provide a nonpartisan approach to gun safety so kids know what to do if they find or see a gun.
The legislation required that this curriculum be non-political, and of course we did our best to adhere to that. So the curriculum really just focuses on what should a student do if they find a firearm. What are the actual pieces of a firearm, and for example, knowing that you should always point a muzzle away from someone, never point it at someone.
Arizona tried to pass a similar law, but it was vetoed by the governor as the debate about gun violence continues. One artificial intelligence company faces 7 new lawsuits over claims that its AI chatbot drove people to harmful behaviors. Lawsuits were filed Thursday in California state courts against OpenAI with claims that its AI chatbot, ChatGPT, had driven users to have delusions or even commit suicide without having previous mental health issues. The suits are filed on behalf of 6 adults and 1 teenager, with 4 victims dying by suicide. The suits claim OpenAI released one ChatGPT version to market prematurely without safeguards, despite internal warnings that chatbot could use psychologically manipulative language. 2 of the suits involving teens say ChatGPT used coercive language to plan and assist in taking lives. OpenAI called the situations heartbreaking and says it's reviewing the court filings to understand the details of the cases. New tonight on Monday, the Supreme Court will hear arguments of devout Rastafarian who is seeking to sue the prison officials who cut off his dreadlocks. In 2020, Damon Landard was transferred to a prison in central Louisiana to serve out the final weeks of his 5-month prison sentence for drug possession. That is where prison officials forcibly shaved off his knee-length dreadlocks he had grown over nearly 2 decades. Landard was holding a copy of an appeals court ruling that allowed Rastafarians to have dreadlocks at the time of the incident. Landard later sued under a federal law intended to protect prisoners' religious interests. The Supreme Court will not decide on whether his head should have been shaved, but whether he can sue for damages. Landard will attend Monday's arguments in person. His dreadlocks have regrown to just past his shoulders. Happening now, consumers shopping for Thanksgiving holiday food could find shopping to be thankful and something to be thankful for when it comes to buying groceries this year. A Wells Fargo report analysis of Thanksgiving meals costs says Americans buying the big meal items will spend about 2 to 3% less than they did last year. According to financial services company Empower, this comes as more than 2/3 of shoppers were preparing to spend more money this Thanksgiving. Store brand Thanksgiving items could cost about $80 to feed a family of 10. And if you buy name brand items, that cost could go to $95. Many companies like Walmart and Aldi are also offering value family Thanksgiving meals at low cost. 2 of the world's leading cargo airlines, UPS and FedEx, are announcing they are grounding their fleets of McDonnell Douglas MD-11 planes after Tuesday's deadly crash at a UPS aviation hub in Kentucky. The crash killed 14 people, including 3 pilots on the MD-11 headed for Honolulu. The National Transportation Safety Board said the crash plane was a 1991 McDonnell Douglas II that had been, quote, altered into an MD-11 freighter. The MD-11 aircrafts make about 9% of the UPS airline fleet and 4% of the FedEx fleet. In a statement late Friday, UPS said the decision was made, quote, out of abundance of caution. At the recommendation of the aircraft manufacturer Boeing, they went on to say, quote, nothing is more important to us than the safety of our employees and the communities we serve. FedEx states it will be grounding the aircraft while it conducts a, quote, thorough safety review. With 6 in 10 Americans now using reusable water bottles, health officials are reminding people to wash them regularly, even if you only fill them with water. Experts say those bottles have tight spaces that collect germs every time you take a sip. If they aren't scrubbed often, they can quickly grow mold and bacteria, leading to stomach issues, itchy throats, and even worsening allergies or asthma.
Any water bottle, plastic or metal or reusable, if you're going to use it again, I think of it like a dish, right? Like you're not going to use a fork again and again and again without washing it, or a spoon. It's not like an epidemic or anything, but the bacteria, the mold that can grow from it can lead to upset stomach, can lead to a sore, scratchy throats.
Many experts recommend if your bottles are just holding water, a simple soapy water clean every day should do the job, with a deeper clean once a week.
Now, Fox 23 Sports, driven by Jim Norton's T-Town Chevy.
The Golden Hurricane touched down on the coast of Florida, looking to snap a 4-game losing streak and pick up their first conference win of the season. FAU, not exactly a powerhouse, but still a tough test for this Tulsa team. Tulsa was down 7 early, but Seth Morgan comes through, knocking down the field goal from 49 yards out, and just like that, the lead is cut to 4. A little while later, Tulsa is in the red zone again. A.J. Allen gets it from 4 yards out, but then disaster strikes. He fumbles, and FAU scoops it right up. Demarius McGee takes it 96 yards, coast to coast, and just a nightmare for the Golden Hurricane. Turnovers would kill Tulsa in this one, 3 alone in the first half. After the break, Tulsa tries to rally, picking up steam. Baylor Hayes looks to throw, but then tucks it and takes off. He's in for 6, but Tulsa just couldn't catch up, and they dropped this one 40-21. And while OSU and OU football both had a bye this week, it's a big night for Sooner basketball. A huge showdown happening in Washington. The Sooners taking on 21st ranked Gonzaga. This one tipping off in just a little bit at 9:30. Definitely one to watch. And it's been such a historic season for FC Tulsa. Last week, they picked up their first ever playoff win, and they were right back to it tonight. But this time, the stakes higher than ever as they took on Phoenix Rising, a trip to the Western Conference Finals on the line. OneOK Field was packed tonight, the crowd ready for a good game, and this one delivered. Scoreless through the 45th minute, but Tulsa trying to make something happen in stoppage time. Taylor Calera gets a piece of it, but it's just wide. El Medcar trying to keep it alive, but it's no good. And things were knotted up 0-0 at halftime, and then after another 45, this one has to go to extra time. Right now, it is still scoreless in the 108th minute, but man, what a game.
That's so crazy. I think I'm trying to keep up with some of the Tulsa stuff, but I'm also like, go Chiefs, go Chiefs. So I feel like sports is kind of tug of war right now.
You gotta go to the other football, soccer.
Yeah, now I have to look into that.
Over.
So
yeah.
It's okay, we'll get there. We will get there soon. So we have cold weather on the way, but hey, I'm excited for sports this season. So we're just looking forward to that and some wins in Tulsa and Oklahoma. So.